Hello, good evening. I wanted to hop on here with Heather Litster from Heather's Holistics. I'm just going to add her to the conversation now. Heather is a holistic, and I'll let Heather introduce herself. Hi.
Hey,
You.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is my first live.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Fun. So
yeah.
I
How's
was
it
just about
going?
to, good, yeah. So I was just about to introduce you, but I figured I'd let you introduce yourself.
Ah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hi, I'm Heather. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am a reflexology Reiki practitioner, menstrual health educator based out of Peterborough, Ontario, but I work with folks online, sort of all over. I am the founder of the Cycles of Change project, and I host, a Red Tent Space. I know you want to chat about that. Um, what else? I have two cats. I love them. They're adorable and annoying, but I love them. Yeah, so that's a little bit about what I do, I guess. But who I am, I would say is, I'm someone who's struggled with a lot of reproductive and hormone and mental health stuff through my life. So it's kind of what brought me on this journey of learning and understanding a bit more about it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so how long have you been doing this work?
So I really got kickstarted in 2021, is when I really started diving deeper into it and taking the leap, I guess. I would say maybe it was 2019 that I started learning about hormonal health. Before that, I had like a degree in biology, and interestingly, I didn't like I was studying health sciences and or sort of focusing on health sciences, and I didn't actually learn much about what a period was. I don't think I remember even looking at that ever. So I thought that was kind of interesting that after university, I was planning to go into this career path that didn't end up working out. And then I found this random ad that was like, hey, do you want to learn how to be a holistic reproductive practitioner? And I was like, don't know what that is. Sure. And then it's like, it's Reiki, it's reflexology, and it's doula work. And I was like, don't know what that is. Sure. I think cool people do that. So I like signed up for all these things, not knowing at all what they were. And then I started learning like so much about reproductive health. And I started talking to my friends and realized that neither me or my friends really knew such basic things about our menstrual cycles. And then the more I was like, okay, I gotta learn more. I went down the rabbit hole and realized there's no coming back because I kept learning more and more. And I'm like, okay, so many of these things people just don't know. Like, why don't we know how many phases are in the menstrual cycle? Why don't we know, when ovulation happens or like when our fertile window is, all these things. I was so surprised. And then different ways to sort of holistically support any challenges that people face. So, yeah, the more I started talking to friends, the more I realized that nobody really knew about it. So I guess that's what like sparked my heart, really, I guess, to start with the red tent. Yeah.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
I've seen some pictures and some videos, but do you want to explain what the red tent is and where it
Yes.
is?
Yeah. So right now, I host the Red Tent Space as a community space in Peterborough at the farmers market once a month. And now, the Red Tent itself has a history that's going to depend on where you're looking at in the world. I feel from what I've learned so far, and I'm still learning, different pockets of the world have their own take on the red tent, and it depends on how that culture, society's historical perspective on menstruation was. So in some places, the red tent was a place where menstruating people were like, "Oh, you're disgusting. Like, go hide in this tent, like away from society, so we don't have to see your nastiness." And then in some places, the red tent was a place where menstruating folks would be like, oh, actually, I just want to get away from society and like rest with my needs. Different contexts along the way and different sort of practices, but those are those two sort of, I guess, dichotomous perspectives that I was taught. And um, part of what the space is that I host is it's like quote unquote a modern version where it's, it's not something that's inaccessible because a lot of things I've heard these days with like, oh, I've been to this red tent. I had this one like hippie woo-woo friend who like, I found in this, I found her in a mountain and then she like we gazed at our yonis and like that's great, but that's not accessible for everyone. So my heart is like everyone should have this information. So the red tent is in the farmers market. It's like front and center. I talk to everyone of every age, of every gender, and I have like no holds back. So if you want to know, like, come to the space, let's chat about whatever you want to know. Or if you want to share your story, come, let's chat about your story. Um, it's really, really cool to witness how people, when given the space, have so much to share that they've never shared maybe in their 80 years of life. Or, conversations that people have never had with their children or partners, and or different perspectives on how those conversations can be had. So that's my intention with the space is that it's more like kind of chill, it's not like intense. I think it's really wonderful some other practices that are hosted at more sacred spaces in terms of the connection of to the divine feminine sort of vibes, but I really love sort of the place that it holds in just breaking the stigmas around what is menstruation and how it should be talked about. My favorite saying is like make it less taboo and more Yahoo. So that's what I try to do. Yeah.
Awesome. And so I guess that leads into your Cycles of Change project. Let's talk.
Yes.
What's that about?
Yeah. Okay. So the Cycles to Change project is just another piece, right? Another piece of the stigma puzzle, right? So for me, as I started learning, I started educating. I'm like, I need to tell more people. I'm learning more and more. I'm creating programs. As I'm developing programs, I'm realizing that there's no images available online of like a normal menstrual situation. And like when I say no, I mean like I think there's two like the one picture of Ruby Carr that like blew up, right? Bleeding through her pajamas in bed. If you haven't seen it, if you look up Ruby Carr, period, she just like bled through her pajamas in bed, like normal people do. And people were freaking out about this picture. And then, so that's one that exists. And then another one is there's this one stock image of like blood on the floor in a shower. And like that's all I've ever seen in terms of like accessible stock images or images that people can use when learning. So yeah, and the rest of them were like a pad with a red feather. And I was like, what is this? Like, what is this red feather? Or like, it'd be like a tampon and there's glitter everywhere. And I'm like, who's putting glitter in there? Like, what's happening? It's not glitter. Like, so weird. So, yeah, it's like so strange. But that, like, that, when there's no education or no imagery to something, how can someone really begin to understand something, right? Like, I think I mean, wasn't it like this year or last year that we realized that tampons had been tested with blue liquid, like mysterious blue liquid, and never tested with blood? They were never tested with human menstrual blood. It was yeah, this year we found out, or last year. Yeah, like can you believe that? So like because in the pictures on on TV and the commercials for the tampons and pads, they couldn't just pour blood everywhere, I guess. So, because it's too gross. So they would use the blue liquid. But I guess they actually tested them as well. So that's when they're learning about different compounds in these products that actually weren't, you know, aren't digestible properly in the body because they never actually tested it on like human bodily fluids. Um, yeah,
Wow.
shocking. But anyways, so
Just for commercials, and that they did like thorough testing. Wow.
no. Yeah. Yeah, it was just this mystery blue liquid. So this is where the Cycles of Change project comes in. It's like, let's get rid of these weird glitter pictures. Like, I'm so over that. And let's take pictures of normal things. So the page is the Cycles of Change project on Instagram or the website, and you can see all sorts of pictures there. And it's just like, passing a pad to your friend in the bathroom or a stranger. You're like, oh, shoot, I don't have like any period products and I just got my period at this mall. Like, what do I do? Like, do I ask someone? Do I wad some toilet paper in my underwear? Like, what am I gonna do? So it's just imagery to like start conversations about that kind of stuff that's super normal. And then like, oh, my brain just stopped talking in the middle of my sentence. Sorry. But yeah, so um, so the Cycles of Change product just sort of helps bring images to that, essentially. The images are free for people to use on the website. We do have like a suggested, like, if you can make a donation, please do, so we can support the artist who's volunteering her time and, cover some of the website fees for hosting this space. But other than that, like, it's all volunteer project. So everything, and that's what I want, is to just be accessible. Like, I've somebody's educating I've met so many teachers who are like, I'm teaching my teens about periods, but like, I have no pictures to show them about what to expect. So the picture, we've got some like of checking your friend's pants for blood, and like being in the bathroom and you're soaking through like, 3 different pads because it's a heavy flow day with lots of clots, maybe. Cleaning your menstrual products. So we're developing more and more each time and have a second sort of round to launch eventually. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit what it's about. Do you have like a menstrual situation that you think people should know about?
Oh.
I put you on the
Put me on this.
spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, I'm not prepared for that one. No, I can't think of
That's
one.
okay. That's okay. I think like one that I tried it. So the Cycles of Change project itself is just started this year, right? We launched our first round of photos just earlier in the year, and the intention is to keep doing it. And part of what I'd love to eventually add on as well is an audio project. So I have this like adorable like red phone, and it's like one of the old rotaries, but it's just an audio recorder, and you pick it up and you hear my voice like telling you what to do, and you can leave a story. And I encourage people to also, they can send me voice notes, but the stories can be used on the website or as inspiration, where it's like, this is what I remember about my first period, this is what I remember about my last period, this is what I remember about teaching my family, this is how someone taught me. um, all of these things that's really interesting to sort of, yeah, just spark conversation again, because so much of it's not talked about. I think it was maybe, oh, just some time ago, I went to a workshop and I was teaching a workshop on, seasons of the body, menstruation, cyclical living, stuff like that. And I was in this sort of group of women, and ranging from, I would say, maybe 1920 to like 56. And this probably about 30 people, and I would say 20% of them didn't know the difference between their vulva or vagina, which is like a huge barrier in accessing information about knowing anything else about your health. If you don't know the names of your physical anatomy, how can you ask for help when you don't even know what it is? So it's a lot of what I do, is just helping people like get the basic information, and then from there, if they've got more complicated issues, is providing some resources and tools to explore. Of course, I'm not like a medical doctor, so I'm not giving medical advice, but saying people, like, some people have tried this, maybe explore this, investigate, test, talk to your practitioners, make sure it feels good for you. But there's like just letting people know that these things exist. Because again, if we don't have names for things, how would we know about different sort of niche supports and practices like yoni gazing. Yoni gazing can be very healing, or a yoni wand or an egg. And it's like, if you don't know what those are, it's like little jade or crystal eggs or wands that are often used for exploration and connecting with your body in sort of more sacred and supportive way. And the crystals will have different, healing properties, which is really cool. But yeah, how would you know about that if you don't even know what a yoni is or what a vulva is? So yeah.
I've heard of the eggs and I've heard of the wands. Never heard of gazing.
Yeah, I've heard a few. Okay, so I haven't done it myself. I did go to one circle once where we like bedazzled our vulvas in our underwear in like a group of women. It was really fun and just like a way to be like, it's beautiful. It doesn't need to be hidden. We don't need to say it doesn't exist. Sort of connecting with it on a different level. And the gazing is quite similar. Like a lot of people have trauma around, their bodies, and they don't look at them, they don't touch them. So it's sort of this like the space that will be held would have to be trauma informed and like very well held space to help people like dive into that layer of what's going on, right? Is yeah, there's all sorts of different practices that are out there, and depends on what your comfort zone is, what you want out of it. And But yeah, it's there's the I think someone told me once even they went to like um a group, not masturbation, but like a group touch circle, I guess, where you like everyone in the group would just like sort of feel their vulvas, and feel their vaginas and see how it felt, but like also in a guided way in a circle, which is very vulnerable because there's a whole bunch of other people also, pants off, in the space, but it was like guided again in a way that was very much self-exploration and like, oh, I can ask questions about like what is this thing, and like, it's really, really kind of an interesting space to hold. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you remember like your first period? I can ask you that one.
I do actually. And so earlier when you were saying that, people have told you their experiences, I thought about mine because it's come up recently. Because The Lion King is coming back to Toronto as a live production. And we have a family member who's like around 12, and we're kind of expecting that at some point she's going to get her first period. Mine was at the Lion King when I was 13. We were there as a family. It was, this big deal. And we're watching the production. All of a sudden, I thought I was dying. I was in so much pain. I was like doubled over. I went to the bathroom. I'm bleeding. I had no idea what was going on. I just thought
Okay.
it because interestingly enough, I don't know, I just had all these things in my head, and all the girls around me in my class had gotten their periods already, and they had boobs and stuff like that, and me, I did not, and so I thought there was something wrong with me, so I never really expected to get my period, and then boom, it just showed up at the Lion King, and I thought I was going to die. So it
Mm-hmm.
was really interesting that The Lion King came back this year, and we're sort of expecting this young family member to get her first period. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if she gets it at The Lion King too? I can tell her she's not dying.
How special. That would be so healing, I think, for the little you.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because yeah, we think about a lot of people say they thought they were dying when they got their first period, or when they were a kid and they saw their mom have their period and they never forgot that moment, and their mom just was like, "Get out of the bathroom, shut the door," on their face, and the kid was like, "Oh my God, my mom is definitely dying." Like she never spoke about it again. Like they just had this fear in them for the rest of their life until they knew what a period was. But it's like I feel like sometimes you wouldn't even associate that memory. You just kind of have this fear, right? Um, but yeah, that's so interesting. I've seen a lot of like, parents and suggested like making period kits for kiddos now, like before they get their period, like at like 9, or when just kind of having it ready for them for when the time might come. And the one practice that I saw recently that's really cool is suggesting that they try a pad on before they have their period and like wear it for the day, or like for however many hours, so that they know what it feels like, because there's nothing like worse than getting your period. You're crampy, you feel icky, it's new experience, and then you also have this like diaper in your underwear, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on with me? But if you're used to wearing it, it's like less scary, I think. And that's what we do at the Red Tent too, is like, and like for workshops with kiddos, like I teach them what these products are, you know? So parents will, I've had a parent reach out and say, hey, like, can you come talk to my teen and like her friends, or like, you know, preteen tween, I guess, and like let them know like what a period is, like how their bodies are doing things. And it's like very much that it's just like, okay, let's explore some period products. Here's a cup, here's a disc, here's a pad with wings, without wings, like here's a panty liner, like here's all the differences and like why you would know. Because yeah, you don't really get that info. You just kind of wing it on the way, right? So it's like, okay, I love at the red tent, I'll pull out a pad for like a little kid, you know, like four, because they just want to play with things. So I'm like, okay, do you want some wings? And we like stick it to our arms and we like fly around with the pads on our wings, and it's so fun. But it's part of that again, right? Like making it more Yahoo, less taboo. It like it's okay to play with these things, you know. Like I mean, toilet paper is something similar. We use toilet paper to wipe our butts, you know. Like butt is poo is a bodily function that has to happen, and we have whole games where we like wrap people in toilet paper, you know, like that's not disgusting, so it's okay to play with a pad or a tampon. So that's part of what my intention is.
That's awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah, the other one is like because I have some demo, they're not in this room, but I have some demo like menstrual cups.
fun.
So the little kids too, I'll just like they're like looking, they're like, I don't know about this. This girl is so weird. Some of them get a little scared. So I'm like, oh, do you want to be a unicorn? And we like put the menstrual cups on our head and just like hold them there as long as we can, like little unicorn hats. They love it.
Speaking of menstrual cups, like, I mean, I have had 50-50 luck, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and so what are your kind of like, what do you find are like maybe the top um, shapes or brands, or what would be your recommendations for people who maybe want to explore them but aren't really sure about them?
Mm. Okay. I would say a few things. One is to feel comfortable touching your vagina during your period. So whether that's inserting a finger just to know what your body feels like during or after. So a lot of people aren't comfortable touching themselves that intimately, especially during their bleed. So feel comfortable with that. Just kind of get used to it, see how it goes. And then the truth is that answer is like not really an easy one. Every body is different. There's a page called Period Nirvana, and I will eventually be developing some fun videos too, but Period Nirvana has a really in-depth collection of menstrual products where you can see through their videos how each of them work, and what the features are. So some cups are wider or shorter or have a longer, and it's really going to depend how your body is shaped, how long your cervix is, how your, things are tilted. So just kind of it is a little bit of experimentation. There's no like fitting guide, so you can kind of maybe try, one of the basics, like a diva cup or a disc or something, and see how that feels for you. My general rule of thumb as well with reusable products is to give it 3 months if it's not like physically uncomfortable, because sometimes we have to, like 3 cycles, you kind of have to have a couple of cycles to get used to something new. um so it takes a bit of time to like, oh, if I, pull out a little bit more, it gets a better seal, so there's less, possibility of leakage. So you want to make sure that, like, there's, because sometimes when we insert a disc, for example, if it hasn't sealed fully, then it will kind of spill over, right? I've had one like where it's got like a wider spout, I guess, at the top of the disc that I've used. And for me, I find that for sure leaks every time. I don't know why. Um that it's not comfortable for me. But then I find ones that are more narrow have a better seal. So again, it just depends on your anatomy, and you do kind of have to play around a little bit, which sucks because they're very expensive. um, and don't come like you can't return them. You know, you can't be like, oh, I used this period cup, like here, take it back. But the good thing is like a lot of brands like Diva or Nixit, um, or whatever sort of, they have a lot, like if you sign up for their newsletters, they do like 20% off sales or 25% off sales like a couple times a year. So if you just like stay on their website or stay on their newsletter. Also, my favorite thing to do is if you go on their website, you like fill out the cart, you do everything, and then don't buy it, like a couple days later they'll send you a discount code. So yeah, because they really want you to buy it, so they'll be like, here's 20% off, come back.
Okay.
um yeah, so that's my like my little hack. Also, if you find like different educators, a lot of them are like will sort of represent a brand. So they have like a standard discount code where you can not only support that person who's teaching you about the products, but you can also get a discount from them too. Yeah.
Sweet.
So it's kind of a, not a perfect answer, but just keep trying.
Yep, that's
um,
the perfect answer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any other questions?
No, I think that about covers it. So well actually, so yes, I do. Um, so virtually, so you're in Peterborough in person,
Yes.
and you've got an
Yes.
in-person space where people can book appointments with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
virtually, if people wanted to work with you, how do they find you? And what services do you offer virtually?
Yeah, yeah. So in person, I'll offer the cycle education as well as Reiki reflexology, so those sort of wellness services as well. I will like if you have an event or retreat, I'll come there and host a workshop. I am also open and developing specific streams for it now. This is part of what I'm sort of doing with my business at this time. But if you have someone, a workplace or a school that wants to learn more, I will come in there as well. So you can email me and I'll come out and have like a program specific for your group. And then virtually, you can, yeah, my website, which is heathersholistics.ca, and you can find me there. So I have virtual appointments for coaching and for distance Reiki as well. So with those two services, I can support people. I also I'll give your audience the first no, but I just launched my first course, Cycle Syncing for the Holidays, and it's just like a video. I think it's about 21 minutes long, so it's not too intense, but there's lots of fun info there about sort of listening to your body and tuning in for the holiday season to make menstruation less cumbersome and more fun. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's me. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so if someone goes to your website or your Instagram, and I'm assuming
Yeah.
you've got Facebook,
Yeah. I
they can find
I have,
you
yes, exactly. Exactly. So I have the website, Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but I feel like I'm a little bit old for TikTok, so I don't post as much as I could, but I am there. You can find me there. But yeah, so definitely if Instagram, Facebook, the website, those are the main ones. I also have a really fun Pinterest board, which you can find at my link in the bio of my Instagram. And on the Pinterest board, it has like I've saved a couple of collections for things around cycle syncing and different rituals. I do it sort of randomly when I have inspo, and probably around my follicular phase, like every few months. And I'll just be like, pin, 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 and I pin a bunch of things. So you guys can have it all there in one space and be like, oh, this is cool, and just kind of explore.
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Perfect.
cool.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me and chatting and sharing.
Thank you so much for
Great to
having me. It was so lovely to see you.
see you. Yeah, it's been a few years. Yeah. So it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like proximity, right? The internet, we're close but far.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
amazing.
Well,
Amazing.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yeah. Have a great night.
You too.
Take care.
Okay. Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.